Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to take a look at the stock ticker ACR or ACRUX Limited, but it's mostly going to be a discussion about April and what happens in April almost every single year. It's a cyclical month that a particular thing happens, which I think all speculative and micro-cap traders need to understand in order to really succeed and get a big bump in their P&L. So, first things first, I mentioned the strength of April back in 2020. I repeat it every year in April and even the lead up to April about how exciting April can be. So first, before I look at ACR as a stock and before we talk about April further, I just want to show you how this particular stock traded and what drove the stock to launch. This is the headline: Launch of Dasbone 5% gel in the US. A pretty unremarkable announcement, just as a headline. You read further into it and really there's actually not much there. But annual sales for 12 months ending in October exceeded US 15 million. It's like, okay, not bad for sales, but you guys know what I think about sales and revenue. It's meaningless, right? One needs to understand profit, not revenue. So to me, this doesn't really say anything of significance, except that they can sell some stuff in the US. Okay, whatever. So this stock is 10 mil market cap, or it was 10 mil before it opened up this morning. It has 200 million shares on issue, so that there's a few things there that are really interesting. One, there's no other news to trade, and this is just something in the biomed space, and biomeds tend to launch. Secondly, it sounds positive. It's low market cap. And lastly, it has 200 million shares on issue, which for me, in my opinion, is the sweet spot. 200 to 250 million SOI, it tends to just really do well. It means the order book is thick enough that there's not that much spread. And this one had a little bit of spread, admittedly, but it still looked good in the order book. So it was thin enough that the spread wasn't bad. And it's not too thick, so that you don't have millions and millions and millions of shares piling up on the bid and offer. So what we have, I'll show you this before the stock opens. This is what it looked like before it opened. So obviously there is a pivot here at, let's say 7.3 to 7.4, somewhere in that range. There's a pivot and it opens up. We're going to look at the 1 minute chart now. It opens up at 5.4 cents from a gap up of 4.7. Admittedly, I didn't catch this one. I gave it a minute or two, and someone else mentioned it in public Discord, actually. That's the only reason I caught this. That news seemed so unremarkable this morning, I didn't even put it on my watch list. Someone mentioned it in public chat, and I instantly opened up the chart because nothing else was really doing anything. Saw the gap up, and I was probably on my second minute when I saw the stock. And I was waiting in queue after about the 4th minute. I was like, okay, this is actually building up. This candle came in and launched it. So it just broke out of this little bit of a range here. And really, it's just high volume buying. So what we got is a pretty strong gap up, followed by indecision, but it's holding the open price, which is good. And then you've got the volume, which defines which direction it's going. So it's decline, decline, decline. And then there's the volume pop, and it's to the upside. So for me, I was trying to catch this at 5.8 in this sort of area here. As it popped, I was sitting on the bid and I just couldn't get it. And then my little monkey brain went, it's fucking April. What are you doing on the bid, you dumb cunt? What are you doing on the bid? Lift the offer. If you're going to make money on this thing, lift the offer. So I had to lift the offer as this was pushing up through 6.2 to 6.4 or 6.5. And then just let it go. That resistance I talked about, 7.3, 7.4, didn't fucking matter. No one cares. The stock is launching. Volumes are coming in hot. Who's going to sell? You got 200 million shares on issue. And the stock is pretty stale. Look at the history. Here's the historical volume. So we've got 159. We got 1 million shares traded here on this candle. We have about 1 million there. And we have about 2 million there. So that gives you an idea of what a catalyst would look like in terms of volume. So about 1 million. So if we calculate the volume here, we have 619,000 in the very opening candle. That alone should just have the biggest fucking alarm bells going off in your head. It should have for me, but I guess I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't have enough prep time to pay attention to this. But we can see the volumes, 600K, 250K, what's that, 850, yeah, 900, and there's your million mark. On the fourth candle of the day, you've practically hit the highest volume it's had in the last year in 4 minutes. And it's all green, no selling. Who's going to sell into this? No one. Smooth brain, monkey brain, fucking buy. Because guess what? Once this breaks out to the upside, clears 7.4 like it's nothing. Once 8.4 is touched, it's sort of a thing we have going where if 8.4 is touched, then the stock gets to 10 cents. Or not necessarily 10 as a target. It either hits 9.6, 9.9, or 10. There's a bit of nuance there, but long story short is it gets to 9.9, which for all intents and purposes is 10 cents. 9.6 is something that happens in a weaker market where the stock can't push to 10 cents, but it's April, and this is the first stock of April that's actually launched, and we're, the second trading day in April. So today's Wednesday, Monday was public holiday, so second day in April, and we already have an absolute fucking banger of a day. And it comes down to the fact that one cannot sit on the bid. At least that's my mentality, is one cannot sit on the bid with such strength in volume, and it just goes in one direction. And what happens when it hits 9.9 or 10? That's it. It's done. It's done. It just went from 5 to 10. Intraday bagger in the space of like less than 10 minutes. That might be exactly 10 minutes, actually. Yeah, 10 minutes exactly. Intraday bagger. And I had to drill this into some people that were in my Discord that wanted to get a bit greedy. You know, they like to catch the pullback, 9.9, maybe catch it to 8.5, whatever it was, and try and catch a swing back to 10. No. This is 1, a biomed stock, 2, an intraday bag in the space of 10 fucking minutes, and 3, there's no news catalyst to drive this further. Okay, look, if this was some sort of biomed cancer study or some shit, and it had, 99, 98% sensitivity, 95% specificity, and it was that kind of biomed, and they got FDA approvals, yada, yada, yada. Great, okay, cool. We got a catalyst to go to 15 cents, 20 cents, maybe even further to 25 or something like that. This, we just sold some shit in the US, or we're now allowed to sell some stuff. And it's like, whatever. What is that? What is that? Okay, so if it's a nothing announcement, 10-cent magnet is that's it. That's it. Once a 10-cent magnet's hit, that is it. Don't touch it. Walk away. Get the fuck out of there. What are you doing? So, in terms of news catalyst, this wasn't anything interesting at all. I'll bring up the VWAP. Yeah, even VWAP could barely do a dead cat bounce. It just straight under. Yeah, I mean, sure, one could argue maybe you could take VWAP here, just above VWAP, one tick, 8.1, try your luck, and the second it comes back down for a retest, that's it, cut. 0 ticks of risk, maybe 1 tick of risk, fine, I'm not going to judge anyone for doing that. High volume VWAP play, pullback, okay, I respect it. If you don't know anything about fundamentals or biomed news or anything, sure, I can understand that. A bit of a VWAP bounce, and try your luck at swinging back to 9.6, 9.9. Fine, I get it. That's fine. But to play with it after this point in time, this stock should be like off the screens entirely, not looked at. Not looked at all. It's dead. There's nothing. What happens once you do a high volume, you got all these volumes, hits 10 cents, comes back to VWAP. Now, keep in mind, VWAP is respected generally, or most likely, during high liquidity plays. Now, what happens if you do a little bit of a dead cat bounce, you come and retest? Is it going to survive a retest? Yeah, probably not. Most times not. You kind of want a sharp V shape off VWAP, especially during high volatility, high liquidity plays like this was. And what do you end up with? Little dead cat bounce, boom, dead. To me, that's game over. And whatever it does, it could probably even go back up here. I just don't care. There's nothing that could entice me to get back on this stock once it clearly broke VWAP and it tested it for the second time. And volumes as well kind of tell the story. High volume sells, and where are the green candles? Okay, there's 1, there's 2. What happens? Oh, it's on its way to VWAP. And here, oh, it's on VWAP, which is most likely someone selling. So yeah, that's pretty much ACR in a nutshell. I think I hammered down the playbook of that quite clearly. Firstly, it's April, and this kind of trading from 5 cents to 10 cents, while it's not, I couldn't predict that during this trade here, during this mid sixes, low sixes, that it would get to 10 cents. I thought 7.4, 7.5 would be reasonable. But then it just completely busted through it. There was a massive wall at 8.8, I think it was. And you can see this volume candle here. And once 8.8, it was just begging to be taken. It was just a stale order, and it was just going to get absolutely munted. And the moment that 8.8 gets even touched, then 9.9 is on. So my idea was see what happens at this pivot point. And then, it just blasted through it. So it wasn't like I was going from here and going, yeah, we're definitely going to 10 cents. No, it was buy, have a look at what happens at this resistance level, which apparently absolutely nothing fucking happened. It just blasted right through. And once that happens, guess what? We're in the 8 cent zone, a stock that's rallied through to 8 cents. 10 cents is practically inevitable. Like, if you do a backlog, if you do a database of stocks that have gone from, let's say, 7 cents and below, let's say 6.5 cents and below, if they open up at that price, at 6.5 or below, and they get to 8, I would say something in the range of 90% of them get to 9.6 cents. Maybe a little bit more. It's just extremely probable that it gets there. And from 9.6 to 10, there's a bit of fuckery and nuance that goes behind when to target 9.6, when to target 9.9, when to target 10, when to target 10.5. 10.5, for example, is a target where you do it in a hot market, in a hot spec market for a hot commodity. Let's say, lithium, maybe like a year and a half ago. Lithium stocks that would just bust to 10 would almost always get to 10.5. If you had a gold stock, it probably wouldn't even get to 9.6. No one would fucking care. If you had copper, that would get to 9.9, 10 pretty comfortably. 10.5, so, depending if it was high grade or not. So there's, little bits of nuance there about what to target, but 10 cents is generally the resistance, and 10 cents is generally the magnet. So targeting that sort of zone, once I want to say 8.6 really, once 8.6 is touched. It's hard because, once a stock gets to 8.4 or 8.5, 8.6, it's hard to know which of those metrics actually means it continues forward. But once it hits mid-8s, let's just call it mid-8s, then it gets to 10 cents almost by default. Not always, keep in mind, it's not financial advice or any of that shit. So this is the nature of April. Now, I can't tell you why this happens. I can speculate on the mining side of things. Someone, a couple of years ago sort of brought up the idea that, hey, in the mining space, in the mining sector, these micros are drilling during the start of the dry season and the wet season's just finished. So all these drill results are coming out at the same time, and they all kind of come around April. But then that doesn't answer the question of why does this happen for biomed stocks? Why does this happen for other stocks? We haven't even had a drill result yet to get the market excited. It's just we're in April and all of a sudden we've just got big fucking inflows of capital coming into a micro cap, which should never really in the first place have gotten anywhere near 10 cents. Realistically, shouldn't have gotten near 10 cents on that news. If this was trading 2 weeks ago in March, I guarantee you this doesn't even hit 7.5. It's just the nature of the market. So April is a cyclical month every year. Not every 100% of the time. I think in the last 10 years, I can recall one April, which was terrible. And I think that was 2022. Because 2020 and 2021, every month in those 2 years felt like April because the market was just absolutely fucking psychotic with the amount of participants in the market. But prior to COVID and post-COVID, just about every April has been fantastic for spec stocks. Now, asking the question of why I think doesn't matter. Does it matter? Does it change how you trade or how you make money on a trade if you knew why? Right? It's like asking the question of who's buying and who's selling on a particular stock. The answer is it doesn't fucking matter. If you knew the person behind the sell or the buy, does that influence what you do in that trade? It shouldn't, because a buy is a buy. Right? If a stock is going up and lots of buying is coming through, it doesn't matter who's buying. You know, let's say it's a dog shit stock. Let's say it's a buy now, pay later back in, Afterpay when I was trading $140. It's like, oh, who's buying this shit at $140? Doesn't fucking matter. It's going up and people are buying it. It doesn't matter who that person is. You're a dickhead if you can't follow the momentum just because you think the stock is overvalued, yada, 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 yada. It doesn't matter who's buying it. You got to follow the trend and the liquidity in the market and what's happening. So that's exactly what April is. It's a repeat of buy now, pay laters condensed into just the microcap space during the month of April. I can't tell you why it happens. I can just tell you that it recurs 90% of the time when an April comes about. So, try to take advantage of the liquidity. Try and take advantage of the excitement in the microcap space. Try and be sensible about what you're targeting. So for example, low shares on issue, but not too low. I know. You definitely want too high shares on issue, but they can still move. But you're looking for the sweet spot, somewhere between, the absolute sweet spot is 200 to 300 mil. But, if something's 150 mil or something's 350, 400 mil, it's still very tradable. It's just not the sweet spot. It's going to be a little bit different to trade. And then once you start hitting 800 mil shares on issue, then it's just going to be like, well, you're not getting a 10-cent magnet. Very unlikely unless you have some sick fundamentals. So, be sensible with your trades. Low shares on issue with low market cap, and make sure the order book is somewhat thick enough to trade. And then just take it piece by piece. Someone was asking, I think it was Thrillhouse on Twitter the other day, was asking, how do you guys trade when every tick is 5%? So that's referring to like a stock that's sitting at 2 cents. And someone's trading at 5 cents. So every tick is 2.5%, right? At this level. So don't go full size would be, well, that's how I do things. I wouldn't go full size straight off the bat. Trading something in the mid fives, I wouldn't just go fucking, here's 15 grand. Just, no, fuck no, that's stupid. It's probably going to be about 35 to 45, something under 50% on the first parcel. And then as the stock ticks up and up and up, it's add on until the full size is met. And that, I've got some exit liquidity on the bid in case things go wrong. And I can hit out without too much slippage on a spec stock with, that's trading sub 10 cents and particularly sub 5 cents. It gets a bit rough. So that's, that's what I would consider sensible. And hopefully any spec trader that watches this, and I know there's going to be one that takes absolutely every piece of advice here and absolutely fucking murders the market. And to you, I say congratulations on watching this 18 or 19 minute video, learning something and applying it. You fucking legend. Have a good one.